Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, on today's episode, we are taking a very casual, kind of long form look at Last Night on Earth, the zombie game, and specifically the 10-year anniversary edition. And to that, I have added a few expansions. I have the Survival of the Fittest, Hero Pack 2, the Growing Hunger, and Timber Peak expansions. So Last Night on Earth is from Flying Frog Productions, and it was actually their first game. This came out in 2007, not the 10th year anniversary edition, of course. But I bought it when it was new. It was the first Flying Frog Productions game. It was the first one out. I bought it, and I was a huge fan of zombie movies at that time. I spent many years in the late 90s and early 2000s scouring the shelves of many dozens of video stores for every zombie movie I could find. We would drive miles away to a video store that was somewhat out of town, like the next county over, just because maybe we heard they had a good horror section or something. And some of my favorites from that period were The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, aka Let Sleeping Corpses Lie from 1975, The Dead Hate the Living from 2000, and of course a couple of classics like Reanimator and Return of the Living Dead, both from 1985, A Plague of Zombies from 1966. But to this day, I still think that the ultimate zombie movie, the best zombie movie I have ever seen, is of course Peter Jackson's Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, the full uncut version of Brain Dead. This thing is so much fun. This is one of my prized possessions here. This is actually a Region 2 PAL DVD because for a long time, this was the only way you could get Brain Dead on DVD. It still hasn't been remastered. It's still not officially out on Blu-ray or anything. I don't know why so many of Peter Jackson's movies or old movies are so hard to find. It's wild. It's absolutely crazy. But I actually have an old DVD player that I bought, I think around 1999 in Oppo, a Korean brand. And it could play all regions, and it correctly converted PAL to NTSC. And that thing is still working. Something like 24 years later, that thing is still kicking it. And I can still watch this DVD here. But if you haven't seen Brain Dead, man, this movie is absolutely wild. It is so gory. It has so many cool zombie kills in it. And yes, I was a huge fan of zombie things, especially in 2007 when this came out. And we were also into one versus mini games because the group I was in at the time, we were playing a lot of Descent First Edition. So we thought for sure that Last Night on Earth was going to be a hit with us, especially because getting a game like this in 2007, a big kind of really thematic game with all kinds of cool, inspiring components, that was a little rare for that time. There weren't a lot of games like this. However, the game totally fell flat for my group. And that is for one simple reason. No one liked playing as the zombies in this game. It was so boring for all of us. We had four people and we alternated so each of us could play the zombies to see if maybe one of us liked it or not. And none of us liked playing the zombies. They practically played themselves. The zombie player just never felt like they had any real choices to make. The game's rules would even dictate how certain zombies moved or not, depending on how close they were to a hero. So that kind of one basic decision, which zombies to move and where to move them, was ripped out of the player's hands. And like I said, compared this to Descent First Edition, where the Overlord had all kinds of decisions and all kinds of interesting things to play and interesting monsters to put in the dungeons. Playing as the Overlord in Descent First Edition was a lot of fun. So we played this game a few times. It was a huge dud, and I sold it. And for some reason, it just never dawned on me to simply play it as a co-op game. I mean, because the zombies practically play themselves, it would have been so easy to do, and it is easy to do. And that's going to be the focus of this entire episode is playing Last Night on Earth solo, or I guess you could also play it as a co-op game, but I've been playing it as a solo game. I bought a new copy when the 10-year anniversary edition came out because I had read that some people had developed some solo rules over the years. And so I wanted a kind of solo zombie game, maybe something like Here's Negan. I think Here's Negan is pretty great, but these are two very different kinds of games. This one feels more like they're both narrative skirmish games. I don't know. They just have different feels. I think the kind of B cinema presentation of Last Night on Earth makes the game feel a little more fun than Here's Negan. But that's another zombie game that I absolutely love. But yeah, playing this solo is fantastic. And you really don't need to change much about the rules at all. The rules I'm using, we'll go over those. We'll go over some modifications that I have made to those rules. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll just take a look at all of the cool stuff that you get for Last Night on Earth, the zombie game. And let's start off like we do a lot. Let's read the back of the box here. So one thing that Flying Frog Productions knows how to do is they know how to present their games on the backs of their boxes. All of their boxes are awesome. They definitely took a page out of Games Workshop's book when it comes to how to make their games look just cool as hell. But here we go. Last Night on Earth, the zombie game, the 10-year anniversary edition. When night begins to fall in the sleepy rural town of Woodenvale, the shadows and fog rolling in bring with them a more than just a chill shiver. A living nightmare erupts as the once peaceful community is overrun with the restless dead, scratching and clawing their way to the surface with an insatiable hunger for human flesh. Now, only a handful of unlikely heroes are left, banding together to fight for their very lives. On a night that never ends, the only thing worse than death is becoming infected. Last Night on Earth is a fast-paced game of brain-eating zombies, small-town heroes, and horror movie action. Players take on the role of either the heroes or zombies. To survive, heroes must work together to use their cunning and ingenuity as well as a bit of luck to make it through the night, while the zombie player controls the unending waves of undead spreading over the town to feed their hunger. With a cast of horror movie archetype heroes and hordes of bloodthirsty zombies, each scenario is designed to play out like a plot of a movie, desperate heroes racing against time to accomplish their goals. Sometimes it's as simple as just trying to live through the night. So put down that popcorn, grab your shotgun, hide your brain. The zombies are coming, and this could be your last night on Earth. So yes, Last Night on Earth, super fun to play solo. If you haven't played this solo yet and you've been thinking about it, I highly encourage you to do so. One of my favorite things about this game is actually the 10-year anniversary edition rulebook. This is a very, very well-made rulebook, and it's fun to read, and it has just a really nice cover. It's like a thick cardboard cover. It's got really good pages. High quality. I think my only real complaint about the rulebook is the background image is just a little bit too dark. I don't know if they've ever addressed that in any future reprints or anything, but this rulebook compiles all of the base game rules, and it also has some additional things that they added to the 10-year anniversary edition. And it also brings in all of the rules from all of the expansions, all of the optional rules, and has rules for a whole bunch of web exclusive scenarios. This is kind of an ultimate rulebook. If I were to make a top 10 rulebooks, maybe I will sometime. I think I kind of addressed that once in an old episode, but this rulebook would definitely be a top 10 rulebook. And this section here, the scenario special rules and the dots system that they introduced in the expansions for the game, this is really cool. So the dots system, you have certain modifiers that you can add to the zombies and certain modifiers that you can add to the heroes. And those have certain dots associated with them. And so you can mix and match to make you can equalize the rules to have a balanced game. So if you add something to the zombies that adds 4 dots, that kind of ups the difficulty, that ups the power of the zombies by 4 dots, then to balance things out, you want to add something to the heroes to also add 4 dots worth of hero special abilities just a really cool thing. So you can have zombies auto spawn. So whenever there's a chance for zombies spawning, if you play with auto spawn, they just spawn. So zombies are constantly coming out. We have the zombie grave dead. So those are powerful zombies. That's 3 points worth of dots. We have zombie hordes of 4 points worth of dots. And all kinds of different things. We have the grave weapons. And grave weapons are weapons that you can equip to your zombies, and those are super cool. Like they can be tangled up in barbed wire or on fire or something like that. And then for the heroes, you can add the unique items and the survival tactics. You can add a manor deck, or you can add barricades where the heroes can actually build barricades to keep the zombies out of important buildings and so on. Just a really intuitive and fun way to mix and match optional rules, but keeping them somewhat in balanced for the game. And that works perfectly for solo play because you don't really need to think about it. You want to add something to the zombie side, just add something else to the hero side to balance things out. I'm really surprised that they haven't made official solo rules or official co-op rules for this. I do wonder sometimes if this game came out today, if it would be a co-op game or a solo game and not a one versus mini game. But here we have all of our rules for using the forest because we'll take a look at the map boards. The map is one of the coolest things about the game, how you can build the map to make all kinds of unique setups for your little town and your woods. We have our zombie champions. I don't have this expansion, the Blood in the Forest expansion. Man, that thing's been out of print for a long time. I'm wondering if anything from this game will go back into print. I don't know. I wish fantasy. I wish Flying Frog would. Man, they need to pay attention to their other games, guys. As much as I like Shadows of Brimstone, let's put the kibosh on Shadows of Brimstone for a few years. There is enough Shadows of Brimstone out there. We really don't need anything else for that game. Let's show some love for Last Night on Earth and Fortune and Glory. Show some more love for A Touch of Evil. Or hey, here's an idea: make a new game. But I would love to see some expansions for Fortune and Glory, and maybe an official solo co-op expansion for this here for Last Night on Earth. We have a mini game, so this is kind of a one-on-one game. This game could be played as a pretty cool little versus skirmish game too, using some of these special rules. And then we have all of our special web scenarios. So we've got to go back. All Hallows Eve. This is a fun scenario here. Run for It, and Run for It has a really cool map with a different way to lay out the map. I love that. All Hallows Eve Part 2, Darkest Night, and here we get our hero profiles for all of our different heroes, and there are all kinds of different heroes, and they all have those kind of B-movie archetypes. You have like the cheerleader, the jock, the priest, the drifter, the escaped prisoner, the private investigator, the reporter, the sheriff, the cop, the nurse, the pilot. So yeah, really, really cool. And then we get a nice glossary of all of the key terms, a good index, and an FAQ with some clarifications. So yeah, just all together a really, really nice rulebook. One that I do enjoy reading. And then here's the rulebook for Survival of the Fittest. But again, if you have the expansions, you don't really need these individual rulebooks or if you have the 10th anniversary edition, because all of this stuff is in that one book. Hero Pack 2, The Growing Dread, and Timber Peak. Now, the main two sets of solo rules that inspired me to get this game for solo play. One is on BGG, and that is from user Maniac Poodle. aka Thomas Gustafson. And so their solo rules are really the rules that inspired me to get this game for solo play. And it's very, very easy. I've made a few more modifications, and we'll kind of go over this during this video. This brief little essay on modifications that I have made to the solo rules is available for Dungeon Dive patrons, and we have posted that to the Patreon page. But so yeah, I basically use Maniac Poodle's rules, slightly modified. Also, if you go to YouTube, there's a channel called the Solo Gamers Club YouTube channel. And he has made, and I'm pretty sure he's posted the links, but he has made a whole campaign system for playing multiple scenarios in a row with a cool map that you get to travel on. So if you want something a little more in depth, check out his solo rules. The way that he plays from one game to the next isn't really much different from the way I do. However, his campaign rules add quite a bit, especially for people who want a kind of longer series, a longer series of sequential games to tell a big story. But here are some of my tips on playing Last Night on Earth solo. Tip number one, randomize, randomize, randomize. So you will find it very handy if you want to play the way I do to add a D4 to your box. Using a D4, you can randomize a lot. You will most likely be playing with 4 heroes, so having a D4 to randomize heroes is really important. You can assign each a number and then use the D4. The main board has 4 quadrants, 4 corners. And so when you lay out your board, you will lay things on the corners here so you can easily roll for 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then each of the buildings, when we get to laying out our map, each of the buildings has randomizer numbers. So it's very easy to roll up random quadrants and random buildings. Now, most of the randomizers that are built into the game for Last Night on Earth use a D6, with a 1 being up to the hero's choice and a 6 being up to the zombie player's choice. So I ignore those and just use a D4, and it works. It's perfect. So there are a lot of ways that you can randomize things in this game. So just be prepared to randomize things a lot and just come up with a way, and you will have fun. So yeah, the game has a few randomizers built in, but I say to ignore those and use a D4 instead. 3, play the zombies to the best of your ability. This would be just like playing a game like Doomed, The Doomed, or maybe Forbidden Psalm. You know, one of these kind of new little indie skirmish games that are built for co-op or they're built for solo play. You basically just play the opponents to the best of their ability. And so play the zombies to win. This is a golden rule for all narrative solo skirmish games, especially those with very rudimentary AI rules. Play the zombies to win. Use the zombie card. So because this is a Flying Frog Productions game, this game comes with a lot of stuff to use, and we'll be taking a look at all of the decks of cards. So there are a lot of things to help you run the zombies to the best of their ability. Use zombie cards or any special zombie powers or upgrades to help drive your zombie turns. Pile up on wounded heroes. So if a hero has a wound, maybe make them the priority target. Play the zombies more like the zombies from Return of the Living Dead. They aren't just brainless shamblers. Remember the zombies in Return of the Living Dead? They still had some of their personality from when they were alive. They knew how to use tools. They knew how to talk. They had desires. One desire was brains. And so if you think of the zombies more in terms of Return of the Living Dead and not Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead, you might have a better time in how you play the zombie side solo. If you need help determining how a certain card should be played, refer to Maniac Poodle's document. And in their document at the end here, they have broken out most of the zombie cards that maybe have some issues that you might have to think about when you are playing solo. So they have taken all of that and they have codified the rules for using those when you play solo. Personally, I haven't had to mess with those very much because it's pretty intuitive on what to do. And when it's not, hey, again, a D4 or a D6 can help you out a lot. Play with the exploration tokens. So let's see, if you need help determine, yeah, so with the Maniac Poodle, we did that. Play with the exploration tokens if you have them. The exploration tokens add an element of exploring, of randomizing the exploration. And we'll talk about these in a little more detail when we get to the map setup. So these are very, very handy. One thing that this game comes with, because it is a Flying Frog Productions, is lots of different ways to randomize things. So you will get your number tokens, so 1, 2, 3, or 4. You can assign those to a hero. Again, roll a d4. We also have these are very, very handy for coming up with your own scenario conditions here, your win conditions. We have these double-sided tokens, so they all have the same on one side, so they're very easy to randomize. And then on the other side, we have pairs of letters. So we have a pair of A, B, C, and D. And so you could very easily come up with a scenario on the fly where, hey, you need to rescue a kid from the high school. So you set up your high school board. Your kid is represented by token A. You take these other tokens and then you randomize them. And hey, you've just created a scenario. So super, super easy. That's one of the neat things about Flying Frogs games is they always come with these extra little bits and bobs that we can use for house rules and modifications, because I know they themselves are really big into house rules and modifying games. And also play with the zombie and hero upgrades and grave weapons. We'll talk more about those in a minute. And then here are some extra turns, extra rules that I use when I'm playing solo. So if a hero turns into a zombie, there is an optional rule where when a hero dies, they come back as a zombie. I always play with that rule. So if Becky, the nurse here, if she were to take 3 wounds, she would die and return as a zombie if she had any experience points. And I always play with the experience points for the zombies and for the heroes, because it gets you add more choices with that. If a hero ever dies and they have any 1, 2, or 3 unused, unspent experience points, then the zombie side immediately gets to draw a zombie upgrade card. And so this is another way where you can prioritize your targets. If they're wounded or if they have unspent experience points, that would be the main target that the zombies might want to go for. So really cool. I like that. I like that modification there a lot. I have a modified zombie spawning randomizer. So in the game, the zombie side will roll 2d6. And if they roll over the number of zombies on the board, then they get to spawn zombies at the end of their turn. And so when I do that, I will then roll a d6. And on a 1 or a 2, regular zombies are spawned. On a 3 to a 6, special zombies are spawned. And then I roll 2d6. And on a 2 to 4, I spawn a grave dead. And the grave dead are represented by these red zombies. So as you start collecting stuff for Last Night on Earth, you will end up with groups of different color zombies. So we have they're all basically the same. They all come with 7 zombies. But we have these dark brown. We have the red. We have these kind of a light brown, burnt sienna type color here. And so just dedicate one of these groups, so the red, to be your special grave zombies, or you will have some green zombies that can be your radioactive zombies. And so if you roll a 2 to 4, the grave dead or radioactive dead, use rules as written to determine what they are, because when you roll one of those, they will come out with a special power. Let me find my grave dead here. So when the grave dead come out, you will roll a d6, and they can be very rotten, brain thirsty, freshly dead, ravenous, have pack mentality, or be a carrier. And a 5 to 8, the special zombies just turned out to be regular zombies. And a 9 to 12, draw a grave weapon card. And again, we'll take a look at the grave weapon cards in a bit. Spawning pits. So on the board, there will be these X's. And those are places where zombies can spawn. So randomize the starting spawning pit and then spawn there clockwise around the board. On the zombie turn, when a zombie fights, there is a 1 to 6 chance to draw a zombie fight card. We'll talk about the zombie fight cards and the zombie decks in a minute. But on the zombie turn, if they initiate combat, roll a d6. On a 1, they get to draw a zombie fight card. And so that makes them a little more powerful on their turns. And then on the zombie turn, you draw and use 3 zombie cards, not 4, and you play all to the best way possible. Any that aren't played by the next zombie turn are discarded. So those are some of the changes, the modifications that I have made to playing this game solo. Let's now take a look at some of the cool stuff you get, starting with all of the various heroes. So I have 4 heroes I've taken out because I have their miniatures. These are the 4 heroes that I've been playing as in the last couple games this week. And we have Jake Cartwright, the Woodinville survivor. So he is a survivor version of the Jake Cartwright from the original game. So there are four survivor versions of the heroes. They escaped, canonically, and they are back, and they're a little more powerful. He's resourceful. He's a long-term survivor. He has 3 wounds. We have here we have Rachel, Detective Winters here, and she's law enforcement. She starts with a revolver and a flashlight. She can ignore wounds on a roll of a 6+. We have Becky, the nurse, first aid. At the end of a hero turn, heal 1 wound from another hero in the space. That's pretty great there. And then Dr. Yamamoto, he's really good at searching, and he's brilliant. So when searching, he gets to roll a d6, and on a 6, draw an extra card. So Dr. Yamamoto is really good for drawing cards out of that hero deck. But once you start adding in your expansions, you will have so many different heroes. Here we have Sheriff Anderson. That's one of the survivors. We have Sally, the Woodinville survivor, another survivor. Bear, the biker, very burly guy here. At the complete opposite end of the spectrum here, we have Maria, the bookworm. Here is the original Jake Cartwright. So as you can see, the differences here between the two. One is the survivor mode, or the survivor version, and one is the original version. We have Johnny, the high school quarterback. Doc Brody, the country physician. We have Nikki, the bush pilot. Ed Baker, the lumberjack. Alice, the diner waitress. Deputy Taylor, the sheriff's deputy. Mr. Hyde, the shop teacher. Jeb, the grease monkey. Sheriff Anderson, the small town lawman. Sam, the diner cook. Kenny, the supermarket bag boy. Amanda, the prom queen. Sally, the high school sweetheart. Billy, the sheriff's son. Jenny, the farmer's daughter. Angela, the cheerleader. Old Betsy, the faithful hound. And also we have Father Joseph, man of the cloth. What's really cool is you can be super thematic in how you want to set up your heroes. You could play a kind of high school zombie, play a high school zombie slasher version of a movie. So just use the young kids. So we could use Billy, Angela, Sally, and Amanda. And so these would be our heroes. We could start in the high school board and then come up with some kind of scenario where maybe the principal and the teachers have been taken over by zombies, and so we have to fight them. Kind of like, what was that movie? The Faculty or something like that, or Cooties. Or you could take your kind of blue collar workers here. We could take our bag boy, have a game of like The Mist, right? So we have our diner cook, maybe our bag boy, our grease monkey, and maybe the waitress, and they're all kind of holed up in the diner. The grease monkey and the bag boy were on their lunch break, and they're at the diner when the zombie apocalypse breaks out. And so you can mix and match your 4 heroes to come up with your kind of conventional zombie stories, to come up with some neat ways to facilitate a solo game. And speaking of that, there are all kinds of different scenarios that you can play. So we very, very briefly took a look at those special web scenarios that are introduced in the book. I think you can still download those. There are also 4 or 5 expansion scenarios that you can buy for $10 a piece on the Flying Frog Productions website. And I did buy those. They didn't show up in time for me to do the video, so that's unfortunate. Maybe we'll take a look at them later, maybe next year. But I like to play Die Zombies Die just because it's easy. This is the scenario that you play. You have 15 turns, and the heroes have to kill 15 zombies. And hey, that is easy as pie to set up and get going. Here we have Left Behind, Mountains of the Dead. So some of the scenarios are more complex than others. Some require a little more setup than others. Some, like Die Zombies Die, you can be set up and playing very quickly. Save the town folk, burn them out, escape the truck, defend the manor, broken down, plague carriers, burn it to the ground, zombie apocalypse, supply run, hunker down, search for the truth, rescue mission, learn to survive, radio for help, and blow up the town. So as you start combining your different groups of 4 heroes with your different scenarios, your different modifier rules, there's a lot of variety in this game. And speaking of variety, we also have all of our different map cards here. So there are a few different ways that you can set up the map. we have let me move this stuff off here. So we have our center boards, and the center boards have larger squares, so you can move very quickly through this kind of town center area. And these are double-sided. So on one side here, we have the manor. So hey, if you wanted to play your game of Night of the Living Dead, where the zombies are coming in and you're having to do kind of a tower defense scenario, you can use that. And then we have a radio station here. So you could play these back to back like that. You can make a big board, you can make a small board or a small map. But on each of the corners, you will add a corner space. And these are not double-sided, but we have different buildings here, like the factory or the library and the antique shop. We have the church with the graveyard, the police station. We have a drugstore and a grocery store and a post office, the power relay station. There's the diner. We have a farm and a barn and a cornfield in the farmhouse there. A hospital. We have the airplane hangar and another diner. We have the junkyard, a gas station, and a bank. We have a gun shop, a general store, and a plant. We have here, what is this? This is a road out of town. Sometimes the scenario will mention a road out of town, and so this is the title you would use. We have the sawmill here, or the lumber yard, and the office trailer. We have one of the high schools. There are two high schools here. So here's the other high school. Or you could simply combine these together to make a big high school. We have the refinery, the train station, another hospital, a hardware store, a police station, and another road out of town. And each one of these buildings has numbers associated to it. So here we have 1, 2, and 3. This guy, when I opened it, tiles were stuck together, and I kind of ripped off a little piece there. Unfortunately, not too big of a deal, but and there as well. But so when you randomize things, you can randomize a corner of your main board, so 1, and then you roll a d6, and each building on the tile will have numbers associated. So if you roll the 1, 2, or 3, it would be at the bowling alley. A 4, 5, or 6, it would be at the tavern, and so on. So I will take these bottom 4, 3, 4, and I will just make the map really quick. Okay, so I have my board set up here. Here we have our center tile in the middle here, and then we have our 4 corners. And the buildings we have are the factory, the antique shop, the library, the church, the graveyard, the police station. Down here, somewhat off camera here, we have the diner and the power relay station. And then over here, we have the drugstore and the supermarket and the post office. Die Zombies Die is a 15-turn scenario. And so I would take my sun tracker here and put the marker there to show that I have 15 turns, and then that can be set off to the side. And then you can use a token here to keep track of how many zombies the heroes have killed. And then we have our exploration tokens. And so this is how we would continue to set up the board using this module. First of all, we can take our 4 numbers here and we can assign those to our heroes. So Rachel, Detective Winters is number 1. Nurse Becky here will be number 2. We have Dr. Yamamoto at number 3 and Jake Cartwright at number 4. And so whenever we need to randomize a hero, we could just roll a d4 for that. And then you can also use these as turn markers to flip those over to their opposite side to show that you have played a turn. Let's set up our heroes here. So Rachel, she starts in a random building. Okay, so let's randomize a building. We have 2, 3, 4, and 1. So 4, 4, 5. And she starts in the police station. Hey, wow. Okay, so Rachel starts in the police station. And she can be in any square in the police station there. So we'll put her in the police station. Becky starts in the hospital, but we don't have a hospital. So if they don't have their starting location, they start in the center of town and they get a small bonus. Dr. Yamamoto starts at the plant. We don't have a plant, so he will start in the center. And Jake Cartwright starts on the road out of town. We don't have a road out of town, so Jake Cartwright will also start in the center. Any hero that doesn't start in a building gets to draw an initial hero card, and we'll go over those in just a minute. To finish setting up our board here, we do want to use these exploration tokens. So these exploration tokens make things a little bit easier for the heroes because it gives them the opportunity to have a free search action to draw one of those hero cards. And when they pull one of these up, they get a free search action. They could also find a new hero, which would add a 5th hero to their party. However, there's a little bit of pressure luck because you can also have a surprise attack from a zombie. And so the way you use this is you will mix all of these up. There are 20 of these exploration tokens, and then you will place one of these face down into each unoccupied building in the map. And immediately when a hero enters that building, they will get to draw one of these tokens and maybe get a free search action. Usually you can't move and search at the same turn, but this allows a hero to do so. So I'm just going to do that real quick. We'll place one in the factory, antique shop, library, post office, the supermarket, the drugstore, the power plant, the diner. The police station is occupied. The graveyard does not count as a building because it doesn't have a randomizer. And so we will put one in the church there. Okay, so these are not used. So those are put away. Now we also want to spawn our initial zombies, and we will roll 2d6 here. You always have a pool of 14 regular zombies. So I'm using the dark brown and the light brown as my regular zombies. If I have any special zombies that will come out during this scenario, I will use the red zombies. For our initial spawning, we will roll 2 dice, and 11. Ouch. Okay, this is no joke here. So let's determine a starting spawn point here in quadrant 3. So up there. So you want to put those as evenly as possible. So I think we can put 2 on each to start with since we have so many. So there's 2 there, 2 down in the power plant. We have 2 in the grocery store. Okay, so we have 3 left to spawn. So we'll start up here in our starting quadrant of 3, put 1 there. 1 in the graveyard. I like that. I always like when the graveyard is out, and then 1 more in the power plant. And so we have 3 zombies left in our pool, and those can come out on future turns. We would also want to equip our heroes with anything. I'm not going to do that right now. For instance, Rachel, she starts with a revolver, and I think that's the only character that starts with something. But we do get to draw our 3 hero cards. Actually, we can probably find the revolver. Let's take a look at our cards now, because this is kind of the heart and soul of the game here. The zombie cards, the hero cards, these will all help you kind of drive your game, drive your AI, especially the zombie deck. But the hero deck, so the hero deck is pretty massive. And this is one area where people have put quite a bit of thought into how to play solo. And I don't do this, but you can if you want to. So one of the additional ways that the heroes can lose is they run out of hero cards. When this game initially came out and that rule was implemented in the initial rule book, there were only like 65 hero cards. Well, now there's something like 2 or 3 times that many. So that in-game situation rarely triggers if you use your whole deck. So some people will use a subset of their hero cards, dealing out 65 hero cards and 65 zombie cards, because that is the number that comes in the 10th anniversary edition, and they will just use those for their games. So there is that little bit more of a time pressure on the heroes, because as they burn through their hero deck, they might trigger an end-game loss. To alleviate the bloat of hero cards, the 10th anniversary edition did add a few cards in the deck that help burn through hero cards. So I think there are 10 cards like that, maybe 5, somewhere between 5 and 10 cards where they play immediately on the zombie's turn, and you discard 10 hero cards. So that helps burn through the deck. I just usually end up playing like that. I find that works the best, and I don't like games with a lot of setup, and so having to deal with the setup of that, of removing cards, I just find it easier to use everything, and it really doesn't make that big of a difference. But we have our hero deck here. So each of the heroes that doesn't start in a building would start with a hero card. So let's take a look at some of the examples of the hero cards here. We have basically we have events and things, items, different types of equipment that they can equip, different weapons, and just different things. All of these things are beneficial to the heroes. So we have things like pistols because they have ranged weapons. We have lighters. There are things in this game where you need a light source, maybe dynamite, or you want to light a a tank of gas on fire, or a flare. You will need a light source. So a lighter is a light source. A brilliant idea. You can restock. You can get back, you devils. Play to kill any zombie beaten in a fight, even if no doubles were rolled. We'll talk about combat in a bit here. But a fuel can. See, a fuel can needs to be ignited, or you need gasoline to put in the fuel can, and then you would need a lighter to light that on fire and use that as an explosive weapon. A lucky break, garden shears, fire extinguisher. Get back, you devils. A first aid kit, always nice to have. A catch with some dynamite there. There's Rachel, Detective Winters there. Hero moment, a heroic moment, a stockpile of guns. Each of the buildings on the map has a special search action that you can take instead of drawing a random hero card if the card that it mentions, such as the pump shotgun at the police station, if that card is in the discard pile, then a hero can search for that specific card. So it's pretty cool. Each of the buildings will allow you to draw a card from the discard pile as a hero. Let's take a look at one more stack here. Back to back, we have a logging axe, a pickaxe, a revolver, a fire extinguisher, bandages, just a scratch, blocked windows, a fence post. Double-handed fence post as a weapon. There is Jake Cartwright there, our drifter. Escape through the windows. Textbook. Not without a fight. Hopeful discovery. There's old Betsy the dog. Just what I needed. Somebody was telling me on the Dungeon Dive Facebook group that if you take these cards and you separate them by the hero that's shown, that they actually tell a story about what's going on, kind of like stills from a movie. That's really cool. I've never done that before, so I can't vouch for that. But hey, that sounds like a neat idea. But we need 3 hero cards. We need 1 for Becky, 1 for Dr. Yamamoto, and 1 for Jake Cartwright. So when you are playing solo, you can equip those to your individual heroes if they are equipment. If they are an event, then they go into a pool of cards that you can spend at any time on the hero turn. So we have 3 events here. One is a play immediately. Play this card on a random building. That building now has the additional pick up any guns or ammo. Wow, after use of this pickup, roll a d6 and discard it. So man, one of these buildings in town could be a weapon and ammo stockpile. I think that would be hilarious if that was the church. So the church is now possibly a place where we can go and pick up all kinds of guns and ammunition. That priest is a holy warrior and has been stockpiling holy guns and ammo for this very situation. And then we have 2 more events here. We have the hero moment and catch. And so we could keep these in our pool in order to use whenever we want. Now the zombies also have a corresponding deck. And one setup that you're going to do when you play solo is you will going to make 2 decks actually. And you will have one smaller deck that is comprised of all of the cards, all of your fight cards. So these are all of the fight cards. I think I've pulled them all out. And these are all of the non-fight cards. And so at the beginning of a zombie turn, the zombie, when you're playing as the zombies, you will draw 3 of these cards and you will try to use these to the best of your ability. Some are play immediately. Some you will play on a hero, randomize whatever hero, or you could target the hero that has the most wounds or the hero with the most experience. Remember, play these zombies kind of like smarter zombies, kind of like your zombies from Return of the Living Dead. And I think you'll have a better time if you conceptualize that. But the zombie deck has all kinds of nasty things. They can be resilient. I've got to get to the that's not good. My God, he's a zombie. Deadly surprise. I love the photographs in this. I know some people don't, but I think it's amazing. You can make a zombie, you can make a hero get bitten, you can infect them, and when they take an additional wound, they have a better chance of becoming a zombie, and then they can become a hero zombie. And the hero zombie is kind of like a little mini boss zombie. Here we have Tide of the Dead, lights out. So you can have your lights can go out, and then a building can have the lights out, and it'll be harder to move around. Buildings can also be taken over by zombies, and fire can also spread. And so when fire spreads, you can put these fire tokens out, and then it'll spread in a random direction at the end of the zombie turn. So man, there's just so much cool stuff in this game. Shambling, overwhelmed. My God, he's a zombie. Unnecessary sacrifices. The Tide of the Dead. And so these are all of our normal zombie cards, and we'll take a couple of sample turns to show how it all works as well. But when a zombie initiates a fight on the zombie turn, I roll a d6, and if I roll a 1, then the zombie gets to draw from the zombie fight deck. And this makes zombies in combat a little more dangerous. Endless Rage, Undead Hate the Living. Hey, the dead hate the living. I just mentioned that movie. The Savagery of the Dead, the Vicious Attack. So these are all ways that can make zombies more dangerous in combat. And then we also have, let's take a look at the rest of the zombie cards here. So when we are spawning and I roll that particular spawn number for grave weapons, these are special items that you can equip to the zombies. And you will take the corresponding token here. So if a zombie had a machete, you will take this machete token and just put the zombie on top of the token to show that they are kind of haphazardly, brainlessly slashing away with a machete as they're walking towards you. Or maybe they've accidentally picked up a pitchfork or a sickle. There's the machete. They have a stench of death. They stink so bad that it's hard to fight them. A rusty axe, the bloated body, barbed wire. They're all tangled up in barbed wire. So all kinds of really nasty things that you can equip your zombies with. This is super cool. And then when the zombies wound a hero, they get experience points, 1 per wound. And with 3 XP, you can upgrade your zombies. And these are usually kind of one-off things that the zombie side will get to do immediately as they spend their XP. So all kinds of different ways to make the zombie stronger. Now, the heroes also have an upgrade deck. When a hero kills a zombie, they get a point of XP. And for 3 XP, they can buy one of these upgrades. These are like skills. And these are divided into 3 different categories. Now, this game also has the expansion where each of the heroes has a special power that they can unlock. I just bought that. I haven't gotten it. It's very, very similar to the one that we've taken a look at in A Touch of Evil. So I'm waiting for that to show up. But we have 3 different categories. We have melee, ranged, and utility. And so for 3 points of experience points, you can buy an additional power for each of your heroes. So rush of combat, they can be tough, combat prowess, killing blow, distraction, and so on. And then each one of these has a special boost that later you can spend more XP to make this ability stronger. So we have our melee, we have our ranged skills, and our utility skills. So lots of different ways to upgrade your heroes. Additionally, if you do a really good search, so when it is your turn and you roll to move and you roll a 5 or a 6, but you're in a building, so you want to search, you can search either for a survival tactics or a unique item. So these are all special items that you can search when you are searching really well. An old newspaper, a notebook, the police vest, an audio cassette, Johnny's jacket, Sam's dog tags, Jade's skateboard, the Book of Death. Oh, nice. That's the Necronomicon there from Evil Dead. The antique revolver, I found that in my last game. That was really helpful. Or you can find these various tactics. Plan B, hide, holy blessing, duct tape, where you can combine 2 items so you can carry more items. There are sewer tokens. So you can actually lay out these sewer tokens. We have A sewers and B sewer hatches, and then those will kind of connect so you can get around the town much faster. But that is all of our decks of cards. And so let's see here. Let me move these decks of cards over. And I think we are at the point now where we could play a sample turn. So we have everything set up. Let's put our starting heroes back here. Rachel is over here in the police station. I'm sorry, not everything fits on the camera, but this game does take up quite a bit of space, but it is very playable on my small 3x4 table. So we do get these handy charts here. So the zombie player, the game starts with the zombie turn. The first thing you do is you move the sun track. So you move down. On the first turn, you just add the token to the turn limit. So we're at 15. Okay, so we've spawned our initial zombies at the beginning of the game. Now we draw our zombie cards. And so as my rules, I draw 3 zombie cards from the zombie deck and try to use these to the best of my ability. The first thing I do is I look for any play immediately. So we have 2 of those. So let's take a look at those. The first one is fire. A fire breaks out. Place a fire marker on any empty space adjacent to a zombie. And then we also have surprise attack. Take a zombie from your zombie pool. So my zombie pool has 3 zombies left in it. In the same space as any hero within a building. If there are no zombies in the pool or heroes in a building, discard. Okay, so we only have 1 hero in a building. So that's going to be Rachel, the detective. I guess I should have found her revolver. Let me see if I can find the revolver real quick. Okay, so here are Rachel, Detective Winters. Here are her 2 starting items, the revolver and the flashlight. So I'll put those over there by her card. Okay, so let's take a look at our zombie cards again. Surprise attack. So only Rachel is in a building, so zombies are going to attack her. So take a zombie from your pool. I'll take one of these zombies from my pool and place it in the same space as any hero in a building. Okay, so this zombie is now with her. So during the fight phase, that zombie will get to attack her. Okay, if there are no, okay, so that's good. We can discard that one. We played that. Now we have a fire. Play immediately. A fire breaks out. Place a fire marker in any empty space adjacent to a zombie. So I'm going to randomize that. So I will roll a d4 and a d6 here. And a 3. So 1, 2, 3. And building number 1 is in the library. Actually, there's no zombies there. I forgot. This has to be adjacent to a zombie, right? That's what it said. Place a fire marker in any. Oh, so like the zombie started a fire on accident. So let's see. Where do we have zombies? So there's zombies there. So we'll say that this was in quadrant 3. So 1, 2, 3 by the zombies there. So I'm going to place a fire right there like that. So very easy. And then we have one more card. They're everywhere. This is a zombie event. Play this card at the end of the zombie turn. So anything that says at the start of the zombie turn, those can be played up until the point that you make a movement, same as the heroes. At the end of the turn is after the combat. So play this card at the end of the zombie turn to place 1 zombie from your zombie pool on each spawning pit. Okay, so I will keep that out to remind me. These were played so they can be discarded. Now we roll to spawn new zombies. So I will roll 2d6 and there are 12 zombies out. So I won't get a chance to spawn. There are a lot of zombies out and there's going to be, all of the zombies are going to be out on the board on the first turn because of this card. Crazy. Okay, so now we move the zombies and the zombies move once. Zombies can move in any direction, even through walls. They can bust through walls. Any of the building spaces where you see these dark lines, let me grab an example here. So these are walls. However, zombies can bust through them like the walls are old or they find holes or you can imagine windows and things like that. Also, if a hero is next to a wall, they can actually shoot in or shoot out. And that's to simulate, again, windows or holes or plying boards away from the windows. If you're not adjacent, then walls will block line of sight. And heroes cannot move through walls. Heroes have to move straight through doors. But we want to move. And right now, what I try to do is just move closest to the most heroes. Again, if there was a hero that had XP or a hero that was already wounded who had a better chance of becoming a hero zombie, I would make them the priority. So I will move the zombies in the gas station diagonally. Every zombie is going to try to move into this center square here. We will move that zombie horde there diagonally. We will move the zombies out of the graveyard diagonally. This zombie will not move because it will attack Rachel. And we will move the zombies in the plant off camera here diagonally. Okay, so now we fight heroes. So there is one fight here. Let's roll our d6 to see if that zombie gets a fight card. And they do. Okay, so we draw from our fight deck. And what happens? Chewing through. The zombie rolls one extra fight dice. So usually in a fight, the heroes will roll 2 dice. The zombies will roll 1 die. Whoever rolls the highest wins. If the zombie rolls highest, they do damage. They wound the hero. If the hero rolls highest but doesn't roll any doubles, they fend off the zombie. They don't damage the zombie, but they don't get hurt themselves. If the hero rolls highest and any double, then they kill the zombie. And this says if the zombie wins the fight, the hero must also discard an item or discard 3d6 cards from the top of the hero deck if the hero has no items to discard. If he discards the last hero card, the heroes lose. Ooh, man, this is a nasty card. Okay, so the zombie rolls 1 extra fight die. So it's going to be 2 against 2 here. So let's see what happens. This could be really bad for Rachel right at the beginning of the game here. So red is for zombies. 2, oh, look at that. Haha, lucky. Rachel came through clutch victory there. So the zombies rolled 2s. The hero rolled a double 6. So Rachel fends off the surprise attack and blasts the zombie in the face with her gun there. So that wasn't ranged combat. Ranged combat is a special phase of the hero turn. But because Rachel killed this zombie goes back to the zombie pool. So now there are 3 zombies in the pool. And she also gets 1 XP. So she's kind of a target now. So I want to focus. If I can focus on her, I want to do that. Okay, so we'll discard the zombie fight deck there. And let's see here. Fight heroes, place newly spawned zombies. So that's the end of the turn here. Now we can place a zombie from the pool onto each pit. I have 3. So let's randomize where we will start at 4. So up here. So I will go 1 down here in the plant off camera, and 1 down here in the freezer in the grocery store off camera. Okay, so we've played all of our zombie cards. And the last thing we have to do is fire. So this is a new fire. So all it does is it flips over now, and next turn it'll have the chance to spread. And hey, that is the zombie turn. So now it is the hero's turn. We have our move actions, exchange items. They can trade items with any heroes in the same spot. We have ranged combat, and then we have our fight zombie phase. Okay, so we need to try to get into some of these buildings to do some searching. We can go in any order. Let's see here. I think I'm going to have Rachel. She's going to try to run over to the diner. So let's see what her movement is. This is a roll to move game. And a 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She comes into this building with a 5. There is an unexplored exploration token, so I immediately get to flip it. That's a free search, and because she rolled a 5 or a 6, I actually get to draw one of those special cards. And I look at the number here, it's a 1, 2, or a 3, and because it's a 1, 2, or 3 building, she finds a unique item. Let's see what she finds here. Oh, I know I didn't shuffle those up. When we looked at those, that antique revolver was at the top. I don't want that again. I've had it for the last 2 games. I keep drawing it. If I draw it this time, then it's meant to be. But let's see what I get. Father Joseph's Bible. Oh, so she finds a Bible in the diner. The hero may take a wound to cancel any zombie card on the roll of 3 or higher. If Father Joseph has the item, he automatically succeeds when using the Strength of Spirit ability. Okay, so Rachel now has a holy book. So we can remove this free search token. That is no longer out there. So that was her movement. She can't exchange items. She can't make any ranged attacks or fight any zombies. So her turn is over. We'll flip the 1 over like that. Let's see. Let's take Becky and let's roll for Becky's movement. See where she can go. A 5. Nice. She can make it into the library. So she's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and she'll go 5 there. And there is an exploration token there because she rolled a 5. She might get one of those special items. And what did she find? A free search. And she's in a 1, 2. So she also gets a unique item. And she finds a Jeb's Lucky Wrench. A combat bonus. The hero may instantly kill the zombie they are fighting when they roll doubles on any of their fight dice. After each use breaks on a roll of d6. May instantly kill the zombie they are fighting when they roll doubles on any. Isn't that? The hero may instantly kill. So I guess that would be if you were fighting a more powerful zombie that had more than one wound. You could use that because there are some of those boss zombies that might have 1 or 2 or 3 additional wounds. Okay. So there is that. It was that free search action. She's not in any combat. She can't search because of that. She already did. Okay, so let's go for Dr. Yamato here. A 6. Man, I'm rolling really well on my movement here. I think Dr. Yamato will head over to the antique shop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see what he finds. A free search. And he is in room 3 or 4. So he gets to draw one of these survival tactics. And duct tape. Play to combine any 2 items. Okay, so if he finds a couple items, he can duct tape those things together to make a super item. And that will allow him to hold more things. So these free search actions, those make things quite a bit easier for the heroes. It gives the heroes a kind of a leg up, a fighting chance at the beginning of the game. They can become overwhelmed pretty quickly, and it is pretty difficult to kill the zombies. And so now let's see, Jake's movement here is a 4. Jake will go into the post office. So 1, 2, 3. He will reveal his exploration, a free search. Now, he didn't roll a 5 or 6, so this is just a normal free search. So that would be a normal card from the hero deck. And he finds the hero's grit. This is an event. Play on any hero to allow them to immediately re-roll any number of dice they just rolled, or roll an extra die and add it to their movement. Okay, so we have 3 cards in our hands now. No combat. I was just kind of trying to get some items on that turn. We've moved everybody, and now it is the zombies' turn. So we will move the track down 1. We have 14 turns left. Draw new zombie cards. I will draw 3 cards. Roll to spawn zombies. There's no way I can spawn anything because everything's off. Everything's on the table right now. So we will play our zombie cards. Okay, so let's see. Nothing to play immediately. I do have a sacrifice, so there is a choice here, and if I can do it, I will. But let's read what this says. Choose and discard any zombie card that is currently remains in play. To choose any hero on the board, that hero must immediately discard an item, take a wound, or lose their next turn. Hero's choice. So there aren't any remains in play cards on the board right now, but I could play this and then immediately cancel it with this card. So let's see what this says. This can't be happening. Play this card at the start of a zombie turn on any hero, so I can play that now. The hero rolls 1 less fight die than normal. Discard it if the hero starts their turn in the same space as another hero. I think this is actually maybe a better card than Hopeless. I'm going to play This Can't Be Happening on Rachel because she has the most powerful weapon, and so she's kind of my fighter. So she will roll 1 less die than normal. Should I now sacrifice that to play this? That hero must immediately... Yeah, I could actually sacrifice that now, and she would be forced to discard an item. I think I will. So I will play this now. I will play that on Rachel. So she has to discard an item. Rachel has 3 items, so I will randomize that. Let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on a d6. 1, 2, 3. She loses her flashlight. Okay, not too bad. That's the one I kind of maybe would have wanted her to lose. So she loses her flashlight. I will discard that flashlight. I've played these 2 zombie cards. Let's see what the next zombie card is. Play at the start of the zombie turn. It is still roll a d6. Immediately move that many zombies 1 space. Those zombies may move and fight normally this turn. Okay, let's see how many extra zombies get to move. 2. We have zombies in each quadrant. Let's see, should we prioritize anything? We kind of want to prioritize Rachel because she has the most XP. So I can move 2 closer to Rachel. I will move these 2 zombies down here from the power plant. They come busting through the walls, moving closer to the diner, just off camera there. Okay, so we've played all of our zombie cards. We can discard those. And now we will move and fight. Let's see, can we move and fight? I don't think so. These zombies will move diagonally over here towards the antique store. These zombies will move towards the diner. These zombies will move towards the diner. This zombie follows through, and this zombie moves diagonally. So all of our zombies have moved. Now it is another hero turn. And as you can see, it's really, really easy to play this game solo, and it's really fun. I love controlling the 4 heroes in this game. It's not overwhelming. There's not a ton of bookkeeping. It's just fun. The hero cards are fun. The zombie cards are fun. The grave weapon cards are fun. All of these special events or items are fun. The hero upgrades are cool. I love playing this game as a solo kind of narrative skirmish game. It's very easy to do. Like all of Flying Frog Productions stuff, it just comes with a lot of stuff to inspire you to play, to inspire you to come up with your own little stories and scenarios and things that are happening while you're playing the game. So I highly, highly recommend Last Night on Earth as a solo or co-op game. I think it works perfectly well. And really, I strongly believe that that's the way that the game should be presented. But all right, you guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this kind of detailed look at Last Night on Earth, the zombie game from the solo perspective. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.